1 hour of useless information about Fallout 4. A cut super mutant in West Roxbury Station was once planned to pretend to be a train conductor who would have shouted about tickets and made train noises.
Ha! Choo-choo! No ticket!
In the Far Harbor DLC, when exploring the Vim Pop Factory, located south of the nucleus, we can stumble upon a CEO terminal that mentions a trademark battle that the company lost for the name Quartz to their rival Nuka-Cola. What's cool about this little detail is that Nuka-Cola Quartz can only be encountered in the Nuka World DLC and Fallout New Vegas, where when consuming it will provide the player with low light vision and an increase in health and damage threshold. Although Vim did lose the trademark, you can still find a couple of their Vim Quartz prototype versions scattered throughout the island. Did you know that when you first wake up in Vault 111, you can collect all the bottles there and fill them up with purified water from one of the sinks? This will only work though if your difficulty setting is on survival mode. In the Jamaica Plain Town Hall basement, you can find an Anchorage Veterans flag. Looking at the treasure inventory holotape next to it will reveal that it was donated to the exhibit in memory of Private McKinney, who you can actually encounter in Fallout 3's Operation Anchorage DLC, where the player can witness him being taken out by an enemy sniper.
McKinney! Jesus! You got a death wish? He's up on that ridge, right over there.
At the railroad headquarters, we can find an agent sitting next to a radio, listening and decoding Morse code signals. If we decode the Morse code ourselves, the 4 messages transmitted are as follows: package lost, raiders, repeat raiders, Capital Wasteland available for delivery, Dead Drop Disco needs a pickup, urgent, Gen 1 salvage team at Baseball Tango 8. Deacon has a couple of cut interactions between him, the player character, and some of the members of the railroad that never play in the final game. One would have happened during the quest Mercer's safe house, when Pam is explaining the mission.
I get to set up a new base. That's cool.
Agent's temperature is irrelevant to this conversation. Mission details commencing.
Before you get into that, Pam, I have an idea. I'm just spitballing here. Let's call it Casa del Deacon. No? Well, think about it.
Running Ignoring Agent Deacon subroutine. Resuming mission briefing.
Another during an interaction with Tinker Tom.
Finally, I can prove that the Institute is terraforming the Commonwealth. Eat that, Carrington.
Yeah, that's really great, Tom.
I told Dez I could count on you.
It always pays to humor the guy that keeps making the goodies.
I know, I'm the crazy one, D-Man. But at least I know how to tell the truth.
And again with Pam at the start of the Jackpot side quest.
Will locate and unlock the cache upon close proximity.
Seriously? You're giving the rogue variable a plum mission like this? Come on, Pam. What about me? It's like you don't trust me.
Affirmative. Assigning Agent Deacon this mission has an unacceptable margin of error.
Ouch. You really know how to hurt a guy. We call these missions milk and cookie runs. Fast and easy. That RFID thingy is pure gold.
He also has an unused betrayal scene if he's with you as a companion when you receive the Brotherhood's tactical thinking quest from Captain Kells.
I'm certain you'll do whatever it takes to complete the mission.
You sold us out to the Brotherhood. The f***ing holier-than-thou Brotherhood. Why would you betray us? Betray me?
I was lying to them, Deacon. I'm not betraying the railroad.
The only reason I've been cool with you working with the Brotherhood for so long is I thought you were playing the long con. But you've got their goddamn super weapon online. For all I know, you tipped them off to our HQ's location, too. If by some miracle this was a game, you've played it so well that you leave me no options. I can't let you get to the church. This ends now.
There's a food glitch that will allow you to make unlimited amount of Mirelurk queen steaks. All you need is a cooking station and some mole rat meat. Go to your cooking station and go to the roast section. Then scroll down and find the mole rat chunks. Now instead of pressing the cook button, you need to press the right arrow and the up arrow at the same time on your keyboard or D-pad if you're using a controller. If you do it correctly, when the prompt to make mole rat chunks appear in the recipe section mentioned Mirelurk Queen steak should be highlighted instead of the chunks. This means that the glitch has worked. Go ahead and click make, and you will receive the steaks without losing the mole rat meat. As long as you have the meat, this glitch can be repeated endless amounts of times. If you have McCready as your companion and enter the Boston Public Library, he will sometimes say,
"Let's be careful. No human being would possibly pile books this way."
This strange comment is a reference to a scene from the movie Ghostbusters, where while trying to find a librarian ghost, Peter Venkman says,
"You're right, no human being would stack books like this."
In the beginning of the game, the newscaster on the TV will read a segment on local baseball news and begin by saying,
"Something that is unquestionably, inescapably American,"
which President John Henry Eden also says on the Enclave radio in Fallout 3.
"I've been thinking quite a bit lately about something we can all relate to. Something that is unquestionably, inescapably American."
Another cool detail that the newscaster mentions is the opening of Vault 76 the previous year.
Since debuting Vault 76 last year, in honor of America's tercentenary, Vault-Tec continues to expand with plans for well over 100 vaults around the country.
If Travis Miles, the Diamond City radio DJ, is somehow killed, he will be replaced by Sheng Kowalski, the boy in charge of the water purifier, and will announce Travis's death on the radio.
Just because Travis is dead don't mean we shouldn't all enjoy some music. And if you'd like to enjoy some fresh, clean water, you know where to find me.
Hey, so, that Travis guy is dead? This is Sheng Kowalski, seller of fine water products, and I guess I'll play the music from now on.
Travis also has a bunch of unused voice lines that mention different removed songs and location names from the old world, like Ireland, and a song by Gene Krupa named Massachusetts.
We'll play, oh god, what, I'm supposed to pick the record while the other record's playing, Gene Krupa! Okay. Relax, everyone, everyone relax. This is exactly what was supposed to happen. Here's a song from Gene Krupa about a time when, well, I guess things around here were a little different. Here's Massachusetts. Here's Perry Como. Maybe most people can't relate to this one, but, well, some people can. In Ireland. Hey, remember Ireland?
According to some concept art pictures from the art of Fallout 4, Mama Murphy was originally planned to have 3 unique chairs that the player would have been able to build for her. One would have been a wheelchair full of chems and an umbrella, another would have been a sick-looking tank chair, and the third a flying Mr. Handy chair. Regi Blattaria is a hostile man that spawns in a bombed-out building west of the Corvega assembly plant with a small army of radroaches. In order to encounter him, the player needs to reach level 35. What's funny about this character is that he is actually a reference to the Roach King from Fallout 3, who also had tamed an army of radroaches and even had his own Roach King throne. Regi Blattaria also translates to King Roach from Latin. When switching Professor Goodfeels, the Mr. Handy wandering around the Sunshine Trading Co-op to guard mode, he will start saying, "Exterminate! Exterminate!" A reference to Daleks from the Doctor Who series, where they also keep saying, "Exterminate!" Some of you might already know that when giving the experimental serum from the Institute's FEV lab to Virgil, he will use it on himself, and when you return a couple of days later, he will be transformed back to a human.
It needs some refinement, but I think we can consider my serum a qualified success.
But something that may not be as well known is when tasked by Captain Kells to kill Virgil, you will now have the option to convince Kells to spare him, because he's a human now.
Virgil is no longer a super mutant. His cure worked. He's no threat to us.
What? That thing actually found a cure? He can't be trusted. But as a human, he's trapped in the glowing sea. Maybe he can still be an asset to us. All right, we'll continue to monitor him. For now.
In various locations, such as the Wicked Shipping Fleet lockup, there are sets of wooden blocks with the letters G, A, R, and Y. This is a reference to the Gary clones that populated Vault 108 in Fallout 3.
Gary!
Knight Captain Cade on the Prydwen will sometimes say,
"Please state the nature of your medical emergency."
A reference to the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager, who uses a similar greeting when activated in the show.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
In the pre-war sanctuary, if you look inside the interior of your next-door neighbor's red car, you will only see a TV screen and a stick, no steering wheel or pedals. So one has to wonder, how did they even drive this thing? Well, thanks to a little crossover by Bethesda, you can actually drive this car in Forza 6, where it was recreated and named Chryslus Rocket 69. You can find different bottle messages washed up on shores throughout the game, each containing a unique paper note. One of those notes has a title, Difficult to Kill, and it reads, "Come out to the coast, we'll get together and have a few laughs." This exact line is sarcastically said by John McClane in reference to his situation while climbing through a vent in the movie Die Hard.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Living in an unmarked shack near Walden Pond is a trader with a dark secret. On their property, you will come across multiple cats, and as you explore further, you will discover paintings of cats and 4 small graves in a makeshift cemetery. When interacting with the trader, you will find out that she sells consumable cat meat, implying that she may be raising the cats as livestock and butchering them to sell to the people of the Commonwealth. At Beaver Creek Lanes, there is a terminal entry that lists the 2078 Far Harbor Bowling League standings. The team in 3rd place is the Holy Rollers, referencing Ned Flanders' bowling team from The Simpsons. If you get banished by the Institute before convincing Dr. Lee to join the Brotherhood again, you will actually have another option to recruit Professor Scara instead to help rebuild Liberty Prime.
I've been sent by the Brotherhood of Steel to ask for your help.
How very interesting. I wasn't aware that you people ever asked for anything.
Afterwards, she will stay on to help keep the Prydwen running.
Hopefully I can bring some order to the chaos up here on the Prydwen. It's much more interesting working up here than scouring the Commonwealth for robot parts. There's plenty to fix aboard this ship. How did it ever get in such a state?
According to an early world map shown by Bethesda, the Mass Fusion building was originally intended to be placed across the channel from North End, north of the Boston airport. The Warwick homestead was originally named Nut Island, which is the name of the pre-war wastewater treatment plant that the Warwick family set their farm around. There's also a cut sign found for the facility. Suffolk County Charter School was named Hyde Charter School. The name is also mentioned in Jamaica Plains Town Hall, where it says the school donated a classroom globe to a time capsule exhibit in 2077. Apparently, there was to be a vault north of Jamaica Plain too, called Vault 117, but it was eventually cut. There's a concept art picture of the vault's jumpsuit as well. Other small changes include Vault 121 appearing in the place of Vault 95, the Atom Cat's garage was named Greaser's Garage, and the Backstreet Apparel was named Yaki Apparel. Just north of MedTech Research, there's a Jangles the Moon Monkey in a crashed car. If you pick him up, a behemoth will spawn behind the trees and attack you. This is also a reference to a similar encounter in Fallout 3, where when stealing a teddy bear found in a super mutant camp near the Jury Street metro station, a behemoth will spawn and start running towards you. If you ever looked at the back of a sensor module, you might have noticed an inscription that reads Flux Sensor CM88B 180924609, referencing the USCSS Nostromo, star freighter from the 1979 movie Aliens. The CM88B refers to the ship's model, and the rest is the ship's registration number. Old Longfellow is a seasoned hunter, guide, and a potential follower in the Far Harbor DLC. If you chose to have him as a companion, you will soon find out that, despite his drinking and cynical outlook, the old man has a clear moral compass and compassion towards others. An example of this can be found in an unused dialogue scene where Longfellow would have confronted you about murdering innocent people and warned you about the consequences if the behavior continues.
You and I need to talk, and I mean right this minute.
I can tell you're not happy. What is it?
I'm a hunter by trade. so I'm no stranger to taking life. But I only kill what I need to eat, and in self-defense. One thing I'll never do is take the life of an innocent, no matter how much I might think they deserve it. That's the code I live by. And that's why I can't sit by and watch you murdering people without saying something. Now, I'm as thick-skinned a son of a as Far Harbor's ever known, so I can take all the you want to throw at me. But murder, that's something I won't stand for.
I'll do what I have to do, Longfellow. How you feel about it is your problem.
That's how you want to play it. Fine. You've been warned. Now, let's see what you do about it.
In Fallout 4, you can find multiple references to Fallout New Vegas, like when visiting Covenant and having Deacon as your companion, you can witness a scene between him and Deezer, a unique Mr. Handy selling lemonade, where Deacon will mention Robert House.
Let me try something. Override code Gamma 3 Delta Tango Cinnamon.
Psst. Hey, mister, do you want a cold, delicious lemonade?
Command override. Vocal, audio, House Robert. Access core programming.
You're really missing out. Enjoy a longer, healthier life with Deezer's lemonade.
Ah, too bad. I won those codes in a poker game once. Hasn't worked yet.
Robert House is the first and last name of Mr. House from Fallout New Vegas. He's also the founder of Robco Industries. That's why Deacon is using his name to try to hack the Mr. Handy. Unfortunately, these robots are made by a different company called General Atomics. In Vault 188, Gilda Brosco, a robo-brain and a former Hollywood actress, mentions Vera Keys from Dead Money's DLC, as well as the movie Love Sets Sail.
Did you know that I was supposed to star in Love Sets Sail? The only reason that bitch Vera got the part is because her uncle was the producer.
You can find posters of this movie all around the Sierra Madre Casino. One of the astonishingly awesome Tales perk magazine called Curse of the Burned features a marked man on its cover, special type of ghoul that suffers constant pain, from the Lonesome Road DLC. At the end of the side quest, the Gilded Grasshopper, you will have to dig up the grave of Sheng Drown, where you will discover his remains together with bronze, silver, and gold bars. If you have Nick Valentine with you, he will comment on it and say,
"So, Sheng Drown had himself buried with all his treasure. Guess some people just can't let go."
Another subtle reference to the Dead Money's DLC, where at the end of it, you're able to take a bunch of gold bars with you before you exit the Sierra Madre, and the central theme of the DLC is to let go and begin again. There's a little mini game you can find and play on your Pip-Boy called Atomic Command, where you have to protect the landmarks of different cities around the old US from falling bombs. One of those landmarks is a New Vegas sign, and zooming in closer you can barely see the word new instead of Lus. In the middle of the lake just north of the nucleus, there are two skeletons hanging on a floating door, a reference to one of the scenes from the movie Titanic, where the two main characters, Jack and Rose, are using a broken wooden panel to stay afloat. Inside Union's Hope Cathedral, there is a hostile ghoul by the name of Father Gabe wearing preacher clothes and fighting several feral ghouls. This is a reference to a character from the Walking Dead series named Father Gabriel, who survives the zombie apocalypse by hiding inside his church until the main character finds and rescues him. One of the news terminals at the Boston Bugle mentions how the US president has been evacuated to the Poseidon Energy oil rig off the coast of San Francisco, and thanks to a testimony by an anonymous highly placed source, the official designation of the oil rig is Control Station Enclave, giving credence to a long-running rumor of a secret, militarized shadow government known as the Enclave that supposedly will take control of the United States in the event of a nuclear conflagration, an obvious reference to Fallout 2, where the Chosen One is tasked to reach the Enclave oil rig and destroy it. You can also meet Dick Richardson there, the self-proclaimed president of the United States. If you drink alcohol in Fallout 4 and try to interact with NPCs, your character will sound drunk.
Hello.
Keep walking.
Hey there.
What? I'm busy.
You. Excuse me. Hey.
The Perk magazine series titled Tales of a Junktown Jerky Vendor is a reference to an unmarked quest in Fallout 1, where the Vault Dweller discovers that Doc Morbid in Junktown has been supplying pieces of human meat that were being sold as iguana bits by Bob Frazier in the hub. Using this information, the player can blackmail Bob in giving him a large slice of his profits. Did you know that the pin 9003 that Father gives you to gain full access to his terminal during the nuclear option quest is the same one John Connor uses to withdraw cash from an ATM in the movie Terminator 2. According to a Guns and Bullets pre-war magazine cover, Street Guns of Detroit, pipe weapons are actually a pre-war creation, not a post-war. That's why you can also find them locked in pre-war safes. Fort Strong has a cut interior version where you would have been able to access the rooms on the second floor, with one of them containing a fat man. On the left side, there would have been a bathroom/shower area with Jangles the Moon Monkey found in one of the stalls, and on the other side a sleeping area with multiple beds and lockers. In the southern area of Bradburton, in the Nuka World DLC, you can find a small house with a Chinese officer's sword sticking into a mound of ash. This mound can be kindled into a fire, which will trigger stimpaks to fall from the air. This is a reference to Dark Souls, where when resting at a similar looking bonfire with a sword sticking out will regenerate your health. On the in-game day of October 31st, Diamond City will be celebrating Halloween with spooky decorations everywhere.
Today's Halloween, but do we get treats? No, it's all tricks all day.
And on December 25th, they'll be celebrating Christmas.
Can you believe today's Christmas? Ho ho friggin' ho.
The Slog settlement, inhabited entirely by ghouls, has a secret locker buried underneath the workshop, usually containing tar berries. This locker is actually attached to the ghoul Deirdre and her trading menu. If the player sells her something, it will appear in that container. After completing the quest Reunions and exiting Fort Hagen, the Brotherhood's flagship Prydwen will appear in the sky, making its way across the Commonwealth to the Boston airport. If we follow it, we can observe that just before the Prydwen starts docking at the airport, another stationary version of the ship will appear, creating an interesting scene where two Prydwens are merging together with each other. Did you know that during the quest Blind Betrayal, if you go down to Listening Post Bravo, kill all the Protectrons, and then go back up the elevator without interacting with Danse, or just leave mid-conversation, instead of just hanging out there, he will end his life, leaving behind a holotape titled Paladin Danse Final Entry.
As the minutes tick by, and I stare at the walls of this godforsaken place, I'm still trying to cope with the reality that I am a living lie. My identity as Paladin Danse is nothing but a memory now. Everything I held dear, everything I've ever believed in, is completely gone. I've spent far too long wondering why this happened to me. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. I'm a synth, which means I am a freak of nature, a perversion of science, and an example of where mankind has gone wrong. For the benefit of humanity, I need to die. Not because I'm cowardly or despondent, but because it's the human thing to do. This is Danse, former Paladin of the Brotherhood of Steel. Signing off.
Once you return to the Prydwen and inform the Elder of Dance's demise, Captain Kells will make an announcement on the Prydwen's PA system that can't always be heard because of a bug.
Attention. I know there have been rumors about Paladin Danse, and I wish to set those rumors straight. Yes, Paladin Danse was an Institute synth. To our knowledge, he failed to relay any intel to the Institute. But as a traitor and a synth, he has been dealt with in the manner all traitors merit.
Another interesting detail can be found in the bunker's terminal, where one of the log entries mentions a call sign DEK and phrases "internal void, my dreams are getting darker and darker, and blood runs so still," referencing the Swedish heavy metal band Katatonia and their album Dead End Kings. The phrases picked up by Sergeant Rensky are lyrics from their 2012 song Dead Letters. The lead vocalist of Katatonia and Sergeant Rensky also share the same last name. Almost all of the companions from the base game have unused voice lines, reacting to super mutants wearing sailor hats.
Either I'm having a bad chem flashback, or those mutants are wearing sailor hats.
Since Bethesda never implemented them wearing these hats, we also never get to hear these funny comments.
Who'd have thought super mutants fancied a bit of dress-up?
That's not normal super mutant behavior.
Your new Coast Guard is quite strange, I think.
What the hell are these uglies playing at?
God, I hope they don't start singing.
And here I thought they couldn't look more ridiculous.
Now at least these boys have some fashion sense.
Isn't that cute? The mutants think they're in the Navy.
As if regular super mutants weren't bad enough. Now we have to find something like this?
Well, this is happening. You do see them, right?
At the Electrical Hobbyists Club, when no-clipping down, directly in front of the door with the intercom, will reveal a hidden terminal that reads, "Welcome to Greater Massachusetts Electrical Hobbyists Association. Please be respectful of other members' supplies. Member meetings are first Thursday each month." This terminal also allows you to deactivate turrets and tripwires, and download a message machine holotape that seems to be connected to the slightly bugged intercom next to the door that the player character can interact with.
Welcome to the Greater Massachusetts Electrical Hobbyists Association. Nobody's here right now, so please leave a message.
Yeah, I'd like a cheeseburger and a vanilla shake, please. Oh, and some fries, too.
If you try to use the intercom again, a text will show that the holotape is full, and if you play the downloaded message machine holotape, your character's response will now be recorded on it and played back to you.
Yeah, I'd like a cheeseburger and a vanilla shake, please.
On the southwest corner of the Mass Fusion containment shed rooftop is a body of a man in front of a kneeling, deactivated synth, a recreation of a scene between Rick Deckard and the replicant Roy Batty from the 1982 movie Blade Runner. Hancock's terminal, found in the old State House, has 3 cut entries, referencing cut scenarios that never made it into the final game. One would have been written about Salem fighting with another town. Word is, Fahrenheit's people back in Salem are in a nasty feud with a nearby settlement. Need to watch for more stragglers from up that way, could put their special talents to good use. What he's referencing in this entry is an unused questline in Salem that would have seen children from there gain magical powers through mutations, but because of this would have been feared and persecuted by people from the nearby town of Danvers, which also ended up getting cut. The next entry, titled Replacement, reads, "Interrogation of my intended replacement still not yielding anything. Change methods? Can we even crack this thing? Paid Bobby for some muscle to act as guards in case it makes another escape attempt. Basement is locked up tight now. I'd like to see it try." It seems that Bethesda at one point was planning to have a quest that would have involved a synth trying to replace Hancock. He would have been found in the basement's jail cell, which explains this relatively unused area. The last entry, titled McDonough, reads, "Still not sure what MM is playing at. Seems to just be picking up where bro left off. What's the plan? Waiting for something?" Judging from this entry, Hancock would have been aware of his brother's death and subsequent replacement by the Institute, perhaps information that would have been obtained from the captured synth mentioned before. Next to the Museum of Witchcraft, there's a hollowed out rock with a note in it and a bunch of gear. What's interesting is that the note mentions Megaton. It reads, "S. Been too long. Sorry I missed you at Megaton. Looks like history repeats itself. But as promised, here's the gear I scrounged up. All the best and stay safe. The Commonwealth is its own kind of hell. E. What's cool about this note is that in Fallout 3, next to Megaton, there's also a hollowed out rock with another note titled As Requested that reads, S. Here's that stuff you wanted. If anyone asks where you got it, say it was a gift from your grandma. Happy hunting, E." Remember Tinker Tom, the quartermaster of the railroad? According to Fallout 4's concept art, Bethesda originally envisioned Tom as an older man with a gray beard and a variety of different high-tech goggles.
Every test Des will let me run. Full EMF scan, biological sniffers, and other state-of-the-art security. So the sweep says the Institute isn't watching you, or us.
Honestly, the original design does make more sense, since Tinker Tom holds the 3rd highest position of leadership, and his age would make that seem more realistic. Before starting the quest Unlucky Valentine, you can ask Mama Murphy to use the site. She will predict your confrontation with Skinny, Malone, and Darla, and will tell you to say a certain phrase once you encounter them in the quest.
When you meet the fat man and the angry woman, tell them to remember the quarry and Lily June on the rocks, and they'll let you and your friend pass.
Wait, Skinny. Remember the quarry. Lily June on the rocks? Ring any bells?
How the hell did you know about that? Okay, you two can go. You got until the count of 10. Then I don't care what happened back in the old days. You're dead.
What are you doing, Skinny? Kill him!
No, Darla. They get one chance to leave. Skinny Malone's putting his foot down.
She can also give you the synth deactivation code for the cursor encountered at the Green Tech Genetics.
He says Z247, initialize factory reset, authorization code Zeta 53 Kilo. And then he falls, and he's still.
Are you here for the synth?
Z247 initialize factory reset. Authorization code Zeta 53 Kilo.
How did you?
Phyllis Daly is a woman found living at the Egret Tours Marina who thinks she's a synth controlled by the Institute and blames herself for blacking out and killing her grandson Samuel.
One moment he was there, and then the next, just gone.
After calming her down and hearing her story, the player is able to either offer her to join the Minutemen, tell her to leave the Commonwealth, or just tell her to live with it. But there were actually even more options planned for this encounter that ended up being cut, like telling Phyllis to go to Covenant and take the test.
What if I knew someone who could help you?
Who the hell do you think is gonna help a synth, kid?
Go to Covenant and tell them I sent you to take the test. They can tell if you're a synth.
I'll think about it.
After a couple of days, she would have been found in the compound, locked in a cell, with a final goodbye note on her that reads, I thought they would be able to help me figure out if I'm a synth or not, but all they do is keep asking me about a baseball team, hours and hours over the same question. Either I am, and this is some form of torture, or they have no idea either. I can't take it anymore. Samuel, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. Another cut option would have been to report her to the Institute, either to Justin Ayo of the SRB or to Allie Fillmore.
I'll talk to the SRB. They should know if you're a synth.
Kid, I don't know what the hell the SRB is, but I would appreciate it if you didn't joke around about this.
I ran across an old woman named Phyllis Daly who thinks she's a synth.
Well, the surface is a pretty harsh place. She may have just cracked a bit. Poor thing. But we'll send a courser to make sure. Thanks for letting us know.
And the third, final option would have been to ask the railroad to help her.
I know a group who can help you. Let me get in touch with them, and they'll send someone out who might be able to tell if you are a synth.
If you say so.
I ran across an old woman named Phyllis Daly who thinks she's a synth.
That doesn't sound like anyone from our lists, but we'll send an agent to see if we can help her.
After some time, if you returned back to the Egret Tours Marina, she would have been gone and would have left a note behind that reads, Hey kid, if you're reading this, I just wanted to say thanks. Your friends in the railroad came and they are helping me get a fresh start. Sorry about the gun, and thanks for helping me through a hard time, Phyllis. A Skyrim reference can be found on one of the Taboo Tattoo magazine covers that show the iconic iron helmet at the bottom right corner. You can find bathroom scales throughout the game. Use the straps. If you step on them and look at the meter, it will change from 0 to the word dead. In the Pip-Boy image of the quest's nuclear family, the depiction of Father bears an almost identical appearance to Dr. Thomas Light from the Mega Man series by Capcom. A utility pole east of Sanctuary Hills, outside of the robotics disposal ground, has a plaque that reads TES-01, a reference to the Elder Scrolls 1 arena, released in 25th of March, 1994. In the Far Harbor DLC, you can cure Andre with the mysterious serum that you can obtain from the Cabots.
I know a few things about medicine. Can I try to help him?
You say, what? You? Help?
Well, poor Andre's got it bad. Good is dead. Well, I suppose there's no harm letting you have a poke, but I'll be watching you.
Let's take a look.
Well, I'll be. I think you may have done it. I'll keep looking after Andre, but I think thanks to you, he's got a fighting chance.
There's a secret message that's a bit hard to see, found on the periodic table of elements poster located in the Children of Adam's shrine in the Far Harbor DLC that reads, "Todd Howard is amazing in everything his hands touch, no kidding." After finishing the Great Hunt quest and helping the Mariner deal with the Red Death sea creature, it was originally intended for her to leave the island and disappear from the game world. She would have also left behind a cut note titled Mariner's Will that reads, "I leave the docks and all of my other property to the community. Don't let our sacrifices be in vain. Take what we've started here and build something greater. Prove yourself worthy of living on this island. Mariner." Inside the Wixen Shovel Museum in the Nuka World DLC, there's a male and a female mannequin placed together in a way that resembles Grant Woods' famous painting American Gothic, but instead of a pitchfork, the male mannequin is holding a shovel. When dealing with Wolfgang and Simone, the two chem dealers trying to get caps from Trudy at the Drumlin Diner, if you have a high enough speech skill, you can scare them away without resorting to violence, which will allow you to actually encounter them again in Good Neighbor, where they'll continue to hang around for the rest of the game. The Museum of Freedom, located in Concord, has a cut inaccessible area with a couple of empty rooms, a restroom, and a staircase connecting to the second floor. You can actually look out at the low poly landscape surrounding the museum there. 2 skeletal remains can also be found, one next to a flag dressed in a military uniform, and another between 2 chairs. If you free Lorenzo Cabot at the end of the Secret of the Cabot House side quest, after a while you can stumble upon him in a random encounter where he claims to be traveling the Commonwealth and collecting data for his ghoul research.
Hey.
Well, well, fate brings us together again. I'm so enjoying the chance to finally experience this new world of ours.
Did you kill those people?
Oh, you mean the ones with the radiation syndrome? Yes, I did. I've been collecting data from as many people as I can find with that radiation syndrome, which seems to increase longevity. Ghouls, I think, is the colloquial term these days. The prejudice of the common folk towards the ugly and different is one thing that hasn't changed. I find it a simply fascinating subject, especially the parallels with my own condition.
Alternatively, if you kill Lorenzo, after a couple of weeks, you can return to the Cabot House, where Jack is gotten a lot older.
Mother has passed. She just couldn't survive for long without the serum.
Poor Mother. The serum was the only thing keeping her alive. But she had lived far beyond her time. It's for the best.
After completing the Silver Shroud side quest, you have a chance to encounter a delusional would-be vigilante called Man-to-Man.
As soon as I have conquered the land, once more I will conquer the seas. My righteous fury is only matched by the Silver Shroud. The bombs fell before the world could learn of my sinister twin brother. Damn you, cliffhanger!
In the South Boston Police Department, there is an entry on the evidence terminal pertaining to a suspect named Nicole Conley, who is accused of the crime of Grand Theft Auto. Her name is shortened to Nico in the evidence log entries, a reference to Nico Bellic and the 2008 Grand Theft Auto 4. There are a bunch of mini-games in Fallout 4 that reference different classic retro games from the 1980s, like the Red Menace Pit-Boy game that is very similar to the popular real-world Nintendo game Donkey Kong. Zeta Invaders is another mini-game found on one of the desks inside Valentine's Detective Agency, obviously referencing the well-known arcade game Space Invaders. Atomic Command, found in the Museum of Freedom, is a reference to the Atari's Missile Command released in 1980. Automatron is another unique minigame found in the Rust Devil gaming terminal in the Fort Hagen hangar, a reference to an arcade game called Robotron 2084. Inside Hubris Comics, in a display case, we can find a unique weapon called Grognak's Axe. This axe looks almost identical to the Iron Battle Axe from the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. One of the US Covert Operations Manual is titled Bushes, Boxes, and Beehives Camouflage Special, a reference to the Metal Gear series by Konami. When looking at the scene where Kellogg kills your spouse and kidnaps Sean outside the cryostasis pod, it appears that you're not actually in the vault, but in Kellogg's memories from the main quest, Dangerous Minds, which makes you wonder, is the sole survivor actually a synth and his memories fake, implanted by the Institute? In the Nuka World DLC, in the Fizzy Top Mountain where the disciples are located, you can find a small guy cemented into a block, a reference to Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, where in the movie Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite. The Atlantic office building has an unused interior with multiple levels infested with raiders and booby traps. A working elevator exists here as well. This version was meant to appear in downtown Boston near the Shamrock Tap House instead of the glowing sea. It's a shame this version of the building was never fully developed, and all we got was a collapsed skyscraper with a bunch of ghouls. In Dunwich Borers, at the bottom of the underwater chamber, a gigantic statue can be seen buried beneath the earth, gazing at the player with its enormous eye. No-clipping through the earth will reveal the giant head in its entirety and just how huge it really is. The Deathclaw in Concord at the beginning of the game has a unique animation that's hidden from the player before he crawls out onto the street. In the Mass Fusion containment shed, hidden behind some barrels, is the reactor level. Entering and then moving outside the room in the void will reveal a hidden ham radio broadcasting the automated radio alarm, picked up by Radio Tower 3SM U81.
Reactor 3 in sublevel is malfunctioning. Radiation levels critical.
An infinite experience glitch can be utilized if you have the Automatron DLC. What you need to do is place one of your companions next to the robot workbench, then press the button for trade, and before the dialogue window opens, press on the robot workbench. Now select a random robot to edit. Once the glitched screen opens up, it will show that you now have the companion trade screen sitting on top of the robot workbench one. Now press down with your arrow key to get to the torso category, then press E to move into the torso options, press E again, and by using the arrow keys, go down to Assaultron Torso. Now by pressing the attach mod button, what will happen is because we're in two menus at the same time, you will attach the Assaultron Torso while at the same time moving an item from your companion's inventory into your own. This glitch allows you to keep moving items from one inventory to another while at the same time mounting unlimited amount of Assaultron torsos without having any crafting components. Every time you mount a torso, the game will reward you with experience points. If you ever visited Vault 81, you might remember a classroom full of Vault kids studying. It turns out that the player was supposed to witness a scene where the teacher, Katie, would explain the GOAT exam to her students.
Alright, children, today we're going to talk about the GOAT.
This sequence never properly occurs in the game because of an accidental bug made by one of Bethesda's devs.
Who here can tell me what GOAT stands for?
Generalized Occupational Attitude Test?
Very close, Aaron. It's the Generalized Occupational Aptitude Test. The GOAT is used to determine what your best skill sets are and assign you the appropriate career within the vault.
What if we don't like it? I mean, I don't want to be stuck here doing security or anything.
If you don't like your results, you'll have to take it up with the Overseer when the time comes. Lucky for all of you, the GOAT isn't given until you're 16 years of age. Now here are some example images that you'll be shown.
Ew!
Each image is associated with a question and will have 4 answers to choose from. The image you're shown presents a situation, and each of the answers is a reaction. For example, this image was used in previous tests to ask which position you'd prefer. Pitcher, catcher, designated hitter, or none. You wish the vault had a soccer team. Your results are then fed into the computer to calculate your appropriate career.
We don't even have real sports here.
It's okay, Aaron. You'll choose the answer based on how you feel. Use instinct and be as honest as possible. Otherwise, that's a sure way to end up in an occupation that's not suitable for you. Any questions?
Did the goat say you should be a teacher, Miss Pin?
Yes, it did. And I feel very lucky to be teaching all of you today.
What if we don't want to stay in the vault?
Well, unfortunately, the goat only designates careers within the vault itself. If you'd like to pursue something outside of the vault, you'd want to discuss that with the Overseer.
She'd never let me go.
Give it time. You still have 6 years to take the test. A lot can change between then and now.
Halfway between Covenant and the Wildwood Cemetery, a tractor can be found crashed into a fence, with a ghoul laying at the front end of the tractor near a dead settler who is trapped underneath it. This is a reference to a scene from the first episode of the Telltale games The Walking Dead, where Sean Green gets accidentally run over by Duck and killed by walkers. An executive terminal in the MedTech research facility mentions the sale of Fixer, a consumable meant to help remove addiction and its side effects, found only in Fallout New Vegas. In the Automatron DLC in Robco's Sales and Service Center, you can find Jangles the Moon Monkey and the Clapping Monkey playing Pong, released in 1972 by Atari. When you spin the mobile in Sean's crib, a familiar tune will play, that also played from the Lone Wanderer's crib in Fallout 3 during the Baby Steps main quest. Robco Battle Zone in the Nuka World DLC has a hidden area where Galactrons, Novatrons, and Eyebots that participate in the arena battles are secretly kept. They can't be targeted in VATS and only become functional once summoned up to the arena. Inside the World of Refreshment, there are a bunch of cowboy cutouts floating in the air right next to the Nuka Wild section of the facility. You can also find a floating wall clock and a thin beaker. There's a cut subway underground complex area full of raiders and turrets. When first entering the area, you would have found a skeleton and a subway maintenance terminal that can be used to power up the nearby Protectron. Moving further underground, you would have been faced with long tunnels and more hostile raiders. Using a cut holotape named Turret Override, you can neutralize the turrets and eliminate the rest of the raiders. The area also contains Sue's and Griswold's terminals. Another unused underground area exists, smaller in size with mines and raiders. It looks like it was some sort of storage basement with a bunch of boxes and barrels. Interestingly, there's a hole in the wall that one of the raider characters is using to sleep in. Did you know that when using the Wasteland Whisperer perk, the Soul Survivor will make unique funny comments when pacifying or inciting certain creatures?
Hey, Buzz. Kill! Infest! Don't move, Roach. You ready? Attack! Whoa, Krabby. For the Sea Kingdom! Destroy! Nice, giant scorpion. You ready? Attack! Whoa, now, girl. It's all right. Rip 'em to shreds. Good wasp thing. Bzzz. You ready? Attack! Stop! Human is friend. Obey me, mutant. Super mutant! Kill everything! Calm down, you freak. I know you hear me. Now do what I say. Avenge your pain. Kill.
A cut synth retention bureau terminal can be found in the game files that would have had threat assessments of all the groups that the Institute sees as adversaries. Brotherhood of Steel, threat level primary. Brotherhood forces recently arrived in strength, believed to be constructing new weapon that could pose direct threat to Institute. Boston Airport now under Brotherhood control. Surface operations should avoid this area. Railroad, threat level secondary. Railroad continues to be elusive. Preventing synth escapes is vital to countering railroad operations. Possible railroad agent or sympathizer within Institute. Continue to press informants for new information. Raider gangs, threat level, tertiary. Raider gangs remain disorganized and scattered. Major areas of activity include Libertaria, Corvega, Saugus Ironworks, Beantown Brewery, DB Technical High School, and Hyde Park. Extreme caution is warranted when operating in these areas. Super mutants, threat level, tertiary. Super mutant threat is of a passive nature. They rarely seek to expand their territory. Use caution when operating in these areas. Confrontation should be avoided where possible. Use stealth to avoid them. Organized crime, threat level, minimal. Current center of these activities is Good Neighbor. Criminal elements usually well armed, but will typically seek to avoid conflict with coarser agents. Intimidation and bribery usually more efficient than direct conflict. Chems and caps can be equally useful in gathering information and gaining allies. The terminal would have also had a list of watchers and their assigned locations in the Commonwealth, as well as a unique holotape recorded by Justin Ayo.
Watcher Initiative Testing Log Entry 6. Acting Director Justin Ayo speaking. We've concluded the third round of surface testing and the results are promising. We're receiving valuable data across a broad spectrum and in real time. With the improved monitoring, I'm confident we'll be able to expand our operations on the surface. I intend to request additional units from robotics for immediate deployment in Diamond City. End log entry.
In Vault 118, found in the Far Harbor DLC, a cut RoboBrain character named Spencer Lords is floating in the void surrounding the vault. According to some cut dialogue lines, he was meant to be an author and the victim in the side quest Brain Dead, but was later replaced by Ezra Parker. Also in the DLC, there are some fully developed islands hidden behind the invisible wall with destroyed buildings, garden gnomes, and a bunch of lootable items. You can also visit the lighthouse behind the border and enjoy the nice view. If you no-clip through the large computer in the Boston Public Library, you will find a hidden secondary terminal. Accessing this terminal will allow you to compress data and acquire a BPL compressed data holotape. You will also be rewarded with some experience points. The reason for it is that this terminal and holotape were both meant to be part of a cut quest, where the player would have had to retrieve the data and pass it on to someone connected to Curator Gibbons' group, thus helping them complete their work. An unused fallout shelter can be found in the game files, with a pretty nice looking setup, a kitchen, TV, and a couple of bunk beds. There's also some scattered boxes with documents and a safe inside the kitchen island. It's not quite known who would have been living here or where it would have been actually located, but it's possible that at some point this could have been intended to be obtained as your personal player home. The combat zone has a cut backstage with dressing rooms that the fighters there would have used. The player would have been able to enter this area and use the elevators to also fight in the arena. Weapons and armor workbenches can be found there, as well as some ammo, stimpaks, and random items. Another small location again can be found behind the invisible wall, a cave underwater with a full set of T-51 power armor next to a destroyed vertibird. Two skeletons with military uniforms can be found there as well. This whole scene is located southeast of Harbor Grand Hotel in the Far Harbor DLC. There's a glitch that can be used to obtain unlimited amount of special points using the Your Special book found in Sean's old bedroom underneath the dresser. For this glitch to work, first you need to use the book and add a point to one of your special skills. Afterwards, the book should show up in your inventory. Next, what you'll need to do is obtain a Knuckles weapon and ensure that you can upgrade it to the blade option. Then you need to remove everything out of your inventory except for the bladed Knuckles and scan the special book, go back to the workbench and rename the knuckles to a lowercase x letter. Then, and this is a bit tricky, so it's a good idea to save before trying this, when in the workbench, you have to scrap and modify this weapon at the same time by pushing the scrap and modify buttons. If you do it right, you should see this screen. Go ahead and scrap the knuckles. Then you should see this, the special book appearing on the weapons workbench screen. Press the modify button and apply no upgrade option and exit the workbench. Now when going into your inventory, the bladed knuckles will be gone, but the book will remain. Go ahead and drop the book on the ground. Go into the settlements mode and hover over it. It will show that thanks to the glitch we did, you can actually scrap the book now. Our next step is to duplicate it by pressing the store and scrap buttons at the same time. Again, this is a bit tricky and will require multiple attempts to get it right, so saving beforehand is important. Now, if you do it right, this screen will appear. It's also important that you keep holding down the store button the whole time. Then press the scrap button, let go of the store button and press yes to store the book. Exit the settlement mode, go to your workshop and retrieve the book. And again, drop it on the ground. This time, when you pick it up, it will reactivate the special window. Pick whatever you want to add a point to, and then repeat the previous workshop glitch. Drop the book, press the store and scrap buttons at the same time, scrap the book, then store it, retrieve it from the workshop, and drop it on the ground. You can repeat this unlimited amount of times. A deceased member of the Gunners named Argus was supposed to appear in the Gauntlet in the Nuka World DLC, but ended up being disabled. He would have had 14 bottle caps on him and dirty army fatigues. Old Man Billy is a cut character that's quite mysterious. He has an AI package reused from Billy Peabody's parents in Quincy, but he also shares an outfit with Desdemona, the leader of the railroad, which makes me wonder if perhaps he was once created as a male alternative to her. Other cut characters include Confessor Adalia, a member of the Children of Adam, Victor, a super mutant character that was once planned to spawn at Shaw High School, Collins, a Brotherhood of Steel scribe wearing a raider outfit, and according to her file, she would have been connected to the railroad's Rocket's Red Glare quest. She also still has 2 voice lines.
Strange. Never mind, let's get her fixed up. When your medic is done, let me know right away.
And the Watcher, another cut super mutant that was to be found at the Fraternal Post 115. A cut note was once meant to be found at a workshop inhabited by 2 cats near the Nuka World Red Rocket, titled Hasty Letter, that reads, "Damn these raiders, they took Nuka World and pushed out or enslaved the traders there. It's too dangerous for me to stay here anymore, but there's no way I can take the cats with me. If you're reading this and have somewhere safe, please give Luna and Katana a good home." Apparently it was once possible to have dog meat and a standard companion at the same time. Just like in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, dog meat has a separate follower script named Player has dog meat companion active, unlike the rest of the followers that have the normal Player has companion active script. Vault 81's security officer Scott Edwards also has cut voice lines, acknowledging the player having both dog meat and another companion with them when first entering the vault.
Ma'am, what about his friend and the dog?
I'll allow it. Security is already extra mindful as it is.
There are unused variations of light, medium, and heavy metal helmets, with the heavy version consisting of a helmet, goggles, and a scarf, medium with just a helmet and goggles, and light with just goggles. They would have been found mostly on raiders. There's an unused hologram of Sean, a ghostly-looking child version with a pedestal and a trigger that would have activated it. It's speculated that it would have appeared as part of the quest reunions, where using dog meat you look for clues to try to find Kellogg and your son. The hologram could have been intended as one of those clues. At one point during the game's development, it was planned that after doing a certain amount of quests for one of the main factions, the player would have been rewarded with faction-specific perks. Like for instance, the Brotherhood would have rewarded you with an Initiate perk that would cause you to take 10% less damage from feral ghouls, super mutants, and synths. The Knight perk that would reduce fusion core explosions, making them smaller, and the Paladin perk that would cause you to recover health while wearing power armor. The Railroad also would have had 3 faction-specific perks. The Secret Agent perk that would have made the Stealth Boy effects last 10 seconds longer, the Station Master perk giving you a 5% bonus on selling items, and the Heavy perk that would have caused you to do 10% extra damage to synths and Institute foes. The XO1 power armor has 2 unused Brotherhood of Steel paint schemes for Initiate and Paladin. There's also a cut Brotherhood Eyebot that was meant to be encountered in the Automatron DLC. Visually, it looks identical to the Servomech Eyebots, but has a different gray color, and most notably a Brotherhood of Steel marking on top. Hunter's Journal page is another cut note meant to appear in Nuka World, seemingly written by a disgruntled son tired of living in his father's shadow. Dad was the best hunter in the Commonwealth. Everyone said so. It always grated on me. No matter what I did, it was never enough. It's taken me almost 30 years, but I've finally matched his record. Tonight, I'm going to beat it. I'm going to show everyone who the better hunter really is. There's only one animal he never killed. I've scouted out a den in the hills to the west. Clawcutter is sharpened and ready to go. Let's see how well it works against the Deathclaw. When diving inside the earth around some of the sunken buildings in the glowing sea, you can discover just how massive these structures really are. And all the way on the east side of the map, underwater, behind the invisible border, a large wrecked cargo ship can be found, with 2 smaller ships on each side. There's also a pipeline and a bunch of floating rocks. Sadly, no loot can be found in this area.